Hello, my friends. So, today I wanted to talk about my own practice and more so about my path going like from the start more so to where it is now. I first started my practice about 13 years ago from the point of when I'm actually recording this video. Before I started my practice, I was more so a devout Lutheran Christian, and I was actually quite into Christianity. I went to church every Sunday. I went to go get confirmed, but I actually failed confirmation due to the fact that I have a reading and writing disability, and you had to go through tests and whatnot to actually pass it. So, because of that, I was actually unable to get confirmed. So I pretty much like that stopped my Christian development for a very long time because I really wanted, especially when I was younger and a kid, to grow up to be a preacher. And I thought pretty much I would either be a game maker or I would be a preacher at some point. But eventually, everything changed when I started more so having problems with the faith. Um, More so, I stopped really caring and paying attention to it as much. I would like sleep in church and things like that, and the pastor would actually kick me awake. But for whatever reason, I was pretty much at that point. I wasn't an atheist. I still believed in God. I just did not have a very good relationship with Christianity and the form of spirituality that I was growing up with in my family, because it was pretty much just you read the Bible, you go to church, that's really it. Until like much later in my family, when the family members started doing like other spiritual Christian things like the armor of God and whatnot. But up until that point, it was pretty much just that basic random like stuff. But everything changed one dark October night, which was somewhere closer to Halloween and Samhain, where I received a sort of spiritual calling to begin researching and looking into weird and occult things. And this pretty much happened because, I mean, not because, but I was in my room, pretty much just lying on my bed, doing pretty much nothing. And I felt at that time, I really didn't know, but like a presence of some form of entity. And I also was able to, at that time, again, I wouldn't be able to tell, but like spiritually hear them telling me to go and start to do my practice. At this point in my practice, I do believe that was my spirit guide, but I'm still not entirely sure about it, and they still have yet to confirm it with me. After I received this calling, I pretty much went over to my computer and I just started typing in just a bunch of random stuff. And it took me all over the place, mostly New Age concepts and Wiccan concepts and things like that. But at that point, I wasn't writing anything down. And my practice originally started with more so looking into energy work as it related to martial arts, because at that time I was super big into karate and other forms of martial arts. And I also really enjoyed the anime Dragon Ball Z. And because of that, I got into well, back then it was called the energy manipulation community, which was pretty much martial artists who were into like energy work, pretty much the understandings of ki and chi. And And people who were into psionics, people who were into things like telekinesis, psychokinesis, pyrokinesis, and hydrokinesis. And from there, I really studied like their practices and things through random forums and not very trustable or reliable websites and pretty much YouTube videos. And I just continue learning from these people pretty much about energy work and whatnot. From there, I really ran into a lot of new age concepts, which brought me to more so learning about the basic elements of the new age, which at that time I was pretty much just taking in information from everywhere. And because of that, I had more interesting beliefs because I wasn't able to sort between which ones were true and which ones were fake because I didn't have any experience at that time. From inside more so new age practices, I was able to come in contact with a lot of the understandings of like astral projection and like the chakra system, which the energy manipulators were using, but they were using the Taoist system of like Datien and the meridians rather than the chakra system because the chakra system at that is still more so connected to the more so new age concepts rather than the practices the martial arts people were trying to practice. In that community, I also ran into the YouTube channel Spirit Science, and I spent a lot of time more so watching and poring over some of those videos. And if you know anything about spirit science, it's not very greatly reliable. It's a lot of just new age stuff. Um, I still do watch Jordan, even though I don't follow or like vibe with any of his information. It's more so just it reminds me of the past, so I continue watching. After spending a lot of time with the like new age information, which I got from being in the martial arts community for a while and sort of going into that community, I eventually, because the new age community is also connected to like the witchcraft community and mostly just the basic stuff of like Wicca and whatnot, like kind of pours over into there. So I also began running into Wiccans and neo shamans. And because of that, I was also able to take up more so their understandings, which brought me to my understanding of witchcraft and magic in general, because that's the first time I ever had like an experience of it at all, besides what they pretty much tell you and whatnot in church about it for like the few words they speak about it. Once I first interacted with that, I pretty much went searching for magic and witchcraft related stuff, but I really, in the beginning of my practice, the only place I could find to get any of that stuff online was spellsofmagic.com. And if you know spellsofmagic.com, you know that's also not a very trustworthy website. And there is some good stuff on that website, just stuff people copy down from Wicca 101 books and whatnot, but most of it's trash. And me at that time, being what, 14, 15, had no fucking clue what was going on with that. And I was just pouring over random information again, like I did with the new agers, but it was much worse because the new age concepts aren't meant to flow together. They never were together. It's always just been a cherry picked garbage pile. But when it's a cherry picked garbage pile of esoteric stuff, it's just all over the place, especially when half of it's just fantasy crap. I did learn a lot of stuff on those types of websites, and eventually found some YouTubers and things that were also teaching witchcraft stuff online, along with like other back forums and stuff, which allowed me to more so begin to actually understand what was going on. And I remember like making a Book of Shadows like binder thing and writing down a bunch of information and then pretty much getting rid of a lot of it because I realized that most of it was crap at one point. But I've had to pretty much restart my practice multiple different times because of learning new things and whatnot. I'm not wanting to go a certain direction over another direction, especially when I see one that's more valuable later in the future. One of the biggest channels that I believe helped me more so understand witchcraft at that time was Dragon Feather, which I believe she still makes videos too, but they're a lot less like witch related lesson type videos anymore. But a lot of her beginner videos and things helped me put my craft together when I really only had the internet to go off of. And a lot of this stuff kept up for quite a while until I eventually got a hold of some actual 101 witchcraft books, which I got from my local library, which I had to pretty much sneak into my house because my mom was Christian and quite toxic about it. Did not want me looking into witchcraft or even other religions for a long time. They even thought meditation was evil, and I had a nice conversation with my grandma about how meditation leads to the devil, which does not make a lot of sense. But once I got those books, though, and things like that, I was able to really make a nice foundation for my practice. And that foundation pretty much led me to learning more and actually like being able to build something else upon it. But this was also around the time when my um family actually figured out that I was at all even looking into other religions and practices and pretty much outlawed me from doing so. But over time and hiding my practice and things, at least my mother became like not okay with it, but she really couldn't stop me in any way. So I just like I was able to have my practice like a little bit open, but not a lot, so that she couldn't like see it in the open, but also she would only get mad at me if she could see it. Like I was hiding books and things like that everywhere, but which is more so just stuff I got from like Barnes and Nobles and whatnot. And this actually lasted for a long time in my practice, like longer than I would possibly like to admit, of just how secretive more so my practice has had to be, which is one reason why now in my practice you can still see influences of it being hidden with like there's not a lot of candles in any of my like religious practices. I don't have a lot of materials and things like that that I specifically use. Um, why it relies a lot more on um, crystals and sigils and hand signs and words rather than materials or tools and other like more ceremonial like things that you can actually pick up or statues of gods or anything like that. It's not that way because again because my practice was hidden for so long, so it sort of developed in a state of being hidden, and because of that it has a lot of these hidden elements to it.